Hi there. In this screencast, we'll look at departments. So departments allows us to track how well certain areas of our business are doing, and we can compare them with other areas, etc. We also have the ability to add budgets for those areas, so we can set goals for various categories of our business as well. So first of all, we're going to go to Setup Settings, and notice that we have division here. So this is more of a manufacturing term. We're a retail company, so we want to change this to departments. So if we click on the little plus sign and choose names, we can change this to whatever we like. So I'm going to choose departments and choose OK. By the way, the native, say yes, the native name is projects. So if you want to track your projects, you can also use departments for that. Now let's set up our budgets as well as how we allocate amounts to our departments. So we go back to Setup Settings for that. And now it's called Department here. And we have Budget. So we're going to budget our departments, and again we're going to go with monthly. And under allocation, we're going to allocate payroll transactions by a percent. In real life, I would probably use hours. So this will, if one of our employees spends 30% in one department, 70 in another, we can actually allocate that on a paycheck. Other transactions, we're going to use amount. And if you're anything like me, you'll forget to allocate to departments. If you're using departments, generally I allocate all transactions to departments. And if you like to tab through your forms, you can check that box as well. So now I'm going to create some departments, and then we can allocate to them. So I'm going to go to Departments. I choose Departments. We presently have no departments. So I'm going to create a department. I'll just call this Sales. And it starts on February 1st. And I'm going to add a budget for this department. So in order to budget this department, we have to add a budget amount for every single month. So what I'm going to do is just create it for the first month. We're going to add $15,000 and $3,000, and then I'm going to just copy and paste it. So Control C that, Control V, and I'll just use my down arrow. Control V. Create another, and add the other two. So now I have all three of my departments. I've added a budget for all three of my departments, so we can see how we're doing in a report later on. Now what I need to do is go through every single account in my chart of accounts, and when I say every single, I mean also your assets and liabilities, and allocate those, allow allocation of those accounts to departments. So let me just quickly show you. Now, you can only do this to the accounts that can be posted to. So subtotals, those are not accounts you can post to. Totals, those are not accounts that you can post to. Headings you cannot post to. You can only post to A's and G's. So you'll see that allow departmental allocation box is not available for T's and H's. Let me just quickly show you. So see, there's no box here. If I move to the next one, however, allow departmental allocations. Now when you create a new company from scratch, these will all be checked for you. In this data set, for some reason, they're not. So we have to go through every single account, including your assets and liabilities, expenses, capital, as well as income, to allow departmental allocations. In the book, they're not so clear with that, but basically every account that has this box, you want to check it. So I'm going to go through all of the accounts in my chart of accounts and check that box where it appears. So now, if you see, everywhere that this option appears has been checked off for my entire chart of accounts. So every single account should allow departmental allocations, and this is for the purposes of purchasing inventory. We need to be able to affect that asset account, as well as when we allocate portions of an employee's paycheck, we want some of the deductions, which are the liabilities, to also be allocated. So we have to check the liabilities and assets as well as income and expenses. Alright, so now that I've allowed departmental allocation to all of the pertinent accounts, now I can create a transaction and allocate portions of that transaction. So I'm going to sell something to Dixon. Not Dirksen, but Dixon on February 11th. And they are buying two 105s. And we're going to allocate, that's what this little blue check mark is, to the sales department. So you can allocate either by line item or all items in the invoice here and here. So this is, if you want to allocate the entire invoice to a department, you use this blue check mark, or this option here. If you want to allocate by line item, you use the check mark on the actual row. So I'll do a 101 as well. Just one of those. And that's also for sales. So notice that we have this option here. This option is the same as that if you go entire, and that one there. So we don't want to check that. That'll overwrite what we're doing per row. And also a S100, which is our service. And that was 6 hours. And that was for our design department. And we also had $55. And that's also for our sales department. HST on everything, by the way. We are in Ontario now. And you'll see the report gets very tall. Each item of the transaction is allocated to a different department. Now, of course, the reason that we do all of this stuff is so that we can actually track how well each department is doing. So either throw more marketing dollars at that department or discontinue that department altogether if it's beyond hope. So you'll see that, let me just post that. You'll see that under the reports section we have an entire departments section for the reports for departments. So I'm going to look at the income and design, installation, and sales, all of our departments, all of our accounts, I should say. And we're going to look at just February. So I'll choose OK. And it shows us how well each of the departments is doing. We only have the one transaction, so it doesn't show us too much. We also can go to reports, departments, budget, and we can compare how well the departments are doing versus what we actually planned. And we're going to go with the summary, current year, January to February, and actual versus budget amounts only. So basically just the stock report that we're given, and I'll choose OK. So it looks like we have a little bit of catching up to do for our design department, as well as installation, as well as sales. So that's divisions, departments, projects, whatever you choose to call them. Thanks so much for watching.